Welcome to High Infidelity, the best cheating videos on YouTube. If you enjoy this content, remember to subscribe and turn on notifications. Now let's get into the video.
Ex-wife begs to hear her out. After I catch her taking it from the back in my own bed, gets dumped instead. I'm 32 years old. I met my girlfriend, we're calling her Joanne, 29 years old, on the 31st of December 2004 at New Year's Eve party. For me it was almost love at first sight. We only talked for an hour, but I couldn't get her out of my head for weeks. I was dating someone else at the time, and the second week in January, I was still thinking about this relatively trivial conversation I'd had with Joanne. I told my current girlfriend of the time that things couldn't work out. I didn't know if I would see Joanne ever again, but I'd felt something in that one conversation I'd never felt before. It was an amicable split. I was honest and told her I liked her, but didn't love her. I tried to track Joanne down through friends and the like. These were the days before Facebook, and I never used MySpace. I finally got a hold of her number, and when I rang she said she remembered me too. I asked her out on a date, and we spent a lot of time together. Another guy in our social group fancied Joanne, so we took it slow. We were very cryptic about how we felt, and didn't even kiss until about a month of seeing each other. After that, our relationship went off on a rocket, and I'd never even dreamed of feeling that way before. We were inseparable and intolerable, no doubt. We went everywhere together, and she loved the things I did, and I loved the things she did. I'd never met a girl that got into things like snowboarding and surfing so quickly, and she loved it. I even took dance lessons and mastered the samba with her exclamation, "It's not been all sunshine and lollipops though," and I'll be the first to admit, we've had our problems like any other couple. We broken up once about 3 years ago, but wasn't apart for more than 3 months. We've lived both together and apart. Whatever happened, I thought I'd been the most reasonable, loving, caring boyfriend I could be. She got pregnant when we was about 1 year in, and I stuck completely by her. She said she wanted it, that she couldn't abort it, and I said I'd be with her no matter what. When she miscarried, I took weeks off work to be by her side. I told her that I was there for no matter what, always. When she was kicked out of home because her parents moved to Australia, I financially supported her until she got on her feet. These were tough times. It was hard for both of us, but I felt we grew because of them. I felt that going through all this was something special. So I proposed on New Year's Eve last year after taking her to the place we first met. A bar with a rooftop balcony thing. I told her that we should see if it was open on the off chance before we went home at around 2 a.m. She agreed, but when we got there she noticed it wasn't a bar anymore. I already knew this beforehand, and through my contacts I got in touch with the music shop owner, and he let me use his roof. I took her up the fire escape, and I had the whole roof almost exactly how it looked that night, which included renting a huge fish tank and a bunch of Christmas lights. The whole thing set me back $600, girl. There was a table in the middle with 2 glasses and a bottle of champagne. I got down on one knee and she cried and said yes. For the last 6 months I've been working really hard. I'm in sales, and we've had a potentially life-changing deal coming through that would make the company I'm with millions in the next 5-8 years. I haven't stopped working my arse off, and I've told her it's going to be tough, but that I'm doing it for us. If I get it, I told her, we could have an absolute dream wedding. Well, the last couple of months have been nail-biting, but I finally secured the deal and netted myself a huge bonus and job security for life. I was on cloud 9, so I bought Joanne and I some tickets to go away and celebrate. Yesterday my boss let me go home early because of my work, and I thought it would be the perfect opportunity to surprise her. I nipped in the flower shop and got her a bunch of white roses before slipping back home for a shower and to get out of my suit. I was driving in my white Merc to her house on the top of the world. Work was brilliant, the weather was beautiful. I had the perfect surprise and I couldn't wait to tell her. Anyway, when I arrived there was a SUV parked outside that I had seen before but couldn't place. The penny didn't even drop when the door was unnaturally locked. I unlocked it and called her name. There was some music playing and I didn't hear her reply. I figured she was in the shower and fixed myself a glass of water and some water for the flowers. In the kitchen there was some cheap wine and 2 glasses. Then I heard the bed banging. My heart sank and I pieced it all together. I used to think my heart sank was a metaphor, but I actually felt something drop inside my chest. It was like going on one of those bungee rides in theme parks. I almost dropped the glass. I walked to the stairs, and at the bottom there were these pairs of ruined old leather boots covered in dirt. I was red with rage. I walked up the stairs and could hear him calling her a bad girl. I swung her bedroom door open. There she was getting ducked in the arse. You not. He was ducking her in the arse. She leaped up instantly, and before I knew it, he had his pants on. I looked at him and recognized him. It was this guy that owns a vegan cafe near my place. We'd been a few times, and he had a couple of parties she had been to with friends. He tried to explain himself, but I just told him to get the duck out right now. He left so quick he forgot to take his cheap wine with him. I couldn't believe it. She ran over to touch me, hug me, or something, but I just threw her back down on the bed. I told her she disgusted me and I left. I went straight to my car and she followed my apathetically asking me to hear her story. I told her not to ducking call me and dropped my personal. The narrative of a first love that led to marriage. It turned out that I was merely one among many, but she was genuinely my first. I recently felt the urge to rant, which is why I'm blogging. I gave her an ultimatum, acknowledge everything or we would divorce. She provided no fresh information in her response. I know I'll never know the truth, and I have to accept that, but I want her to tell me more, no matter how humiliating it will be for her. That is the very least she can do. Nota bene. She has always justified her promiscuity as a rebellious phase, claiming that she was a decent girl who had a bad period. And we were both young. She also said that she was molested by her uncle till she was in her 20s. I went to college and actually shared restrooms with women, never doing anything inappropriate except baking cookies with an entrance companion who I considered a friend. I've always suspected she cheated on me while I was abroad, but there's no clear proof. I don't believe she has cheated on me since we were married, and our marriage has been happy except for this problem, which has always remained in the background. I sometimes write messages to myself to rant. Here's the most recent. Clarity might sometimes arrive in the middle of the night. Here are some ideas. Has she told me everything? Probably not, since she refuses to pledge to God, despite the fact that that is precisely what you do when you take an oath. She was using an old-fashioned religious justification, which she knew was false since anybody who takes an oath swears to God. She declined to swear the last time since she wasn't revealing the whole truth. Conclusion: there is more she is lying about that she is aware of. So what now? I know her strategy is to disclose half the truth but leave out the portion. So should I believe she has told me everything? Certainly not. I honestly believe she cheated twice as often as she has confessed. Perhaps she is embarrassed, and I can only hope for the worst. She went to the movies with her sister's ex-boyfriend early in our relationship, just after high school. She described him as her elder brother. I remember her lying about it, but her mother inadvertently informed me about it. When I arrived the following day, the first thing she said was they didn't touch each other. What? That, I believe, was her tell. Later, she confessed that he wanted to have with her and requested a kiss. She expressed her dissatisfaction and asked him to take her home. I'm assuming she had with him. She revealed partial truths to everyone else, but stopped short of the portion. I'll offer instances if anybody is interested. Wendy's boss was a predator who had with the adolescent females that worked there. I recall her telling me that he attempted to kiss her, but she refused because she wasn't that sort of girl. I have to believe she had with him. She had with an adult neighbor for money, and she could have again to receive a raise. I don't expect adolescents to make sound judgments. The issue was that she was behaving as though we had the same ideals. I'd questioned her earlier in our marriage whether she'd had with another neighbor. She first denied it, but subsequently acknowledged to having with him before we met. I've always assumed she had with him at least once throughout our relationship. He was always on their phone and had stayed the night a couple times. I'm guessing she had with him. Another great-uncle of hers was a jerk. He used to give her money and assist her. He made her uncomfortable a few times, implying that she owed him something, she admitted. Perhaps she had intercourse with him, which would have been legally illegal since she was a teenager and he was most likely in his 70s. But I can see why she would be embarrassed, and I really regret that it happened if it did. Finally, she has a cousin who is our age and used to mistreat her. She recently acknowledged that this cousin assisted her in paying for her prom outfit and also informed her that I would no longer be her boyfriend since I was leaving for college. She most certainly had with him. Again, I apologize for what occurred, but all I want is the truth. Part of this is my responsibility, since she never acknowledged anything to me. She posed a hypothetical inquiry the morning following one of the cheating occurrences. What would you do if I had with another person? I remember saying I'd leave you like it was yesterday. Remember, I was a teenager. Just like that, she asked. Later that day, she informed me that a man she had gone out with the night before had urged her to have, but she refused, telling him to put it away. Of course, it was a lie, but it was an example of how she nearly always stated the truth, but left out the element. Of course, she ultimately confessed to having that night. The same tactic she used with the others, she ultimately confessed to. This is partly my responsibility, since I became enraged as she acknowledged things. Over time, in my rage, I labeled her and I regret it now, and have not addressed her by name since before her second admission, which she confessed in her 10th year of marriage. So she'd rather lie than deal with me calling her names and asking more probing questions. I'm afraid I'll never know the whole truth. Thank you for your time. Please reply if you need any other information. I also have a query that I'd want to have answered by a mature lady, or any other counsel given by a lady. I'm just curious whether my wife's conduct makes sense. Making up a lie about being a virgin. Why? It wouldn't have made a difference. I had a sneaking suspicion she was lying in any case. How many times have you lied? Another thing she does is downplay that she had. I didn't like it. I only enjoyed it with you, for example. It wasn't what you expected. It wasn't like a movie. I never kissed while doing it. So it wasn't passionate. I'd never had it until I met you. We were never nude, and no one has ever seen me naked. I've never seen their penis. I went to a bar after her second admission because I wanted to see another lady nude. I informed her about it. Despite having co-ed bathrooms in college, I was never improper with my floor mates. That's when she claims, no one has seen my breasts, which sometimes irritates me and makes me exclaim, really? Their penises were in your vagina, and I'd rather you show them your breasts than have ual relations with them. Is any of this even slightly plausible, ladies? When I was 14, I wasn't really fond of my hand, but it still felt wonderful. I hope that's not too explicit. Please accept my apologies for the lengthy tirade. I'm in the middle of my life and don't have any siblings, elder mature aunts, or cousins to talk to.